This is Ion Sullivan. I am Mike McGuire, your host, joined today as we are each week by the chairman, Rob Doherty. And Rob, baseball season is winding into playoffs, and Yankee fans should be happy.
Yankee fans are never happy, and that's why I refuse to go to Yankee games. They are tied for first place. They either have the third or fourth best record in baseball. And you will go out today and hear Yankee fans complain this very day.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't clinch in July, so I guess that would be a reason to be upset.
No. I've been a Yankee fan when they've clinched in like mid-August.
Right.
And they've complained then too.
Of course. Well, because then it's too long to the playoffs,
Correct.
and they're going to be
got
flat in the
nothing going
playoffs.
on. These games don't mean it. I mean, come on, stop.
Right.
Stop.
Right. Stop. So we had an interesting week. Of course, the nation bid farewell and laid Charlie Kirk to rest. Mm-hmm. And then we had the Jimmy Kimmel situation.
That is a situation.
So very, very interesting situation where you had certain people up in arms because of the suppression of free speech.
Well, the Jimmy Kimmel situation is not free speech. I mean, he works for a company.
Right.
Who, by the way, fired and took off Roseanne's show off the air.
Correct.
Okay. And fired that other girl, Maria, whatever her name was. Mm-hmm. You mean they got rid of her at Disney. So, it's more around, it's more of, mess around and find out type situation.
Yeah, so we had one person that was suspended from work for a long weekend for 4 days.
Yeah.
Compared against another person, 31 years old, father of four, husband, who was assassinated.
Yeah.
But the attack on free speech was from Disney.
No, again, he works for a company.
Yeah. And they made a decision.
Correct.
And it wasn't the president of the United States that made the decision.
He's not in, I believe, 10 major markets.
Correct.
There's one company. I mean, he's not in Seattle. He's not in a lot of major.
There's 60 some odd affiliates.
Correct.
That have not brought the Jimmy Kimmel show back.
So it was losing money before. This is a pure business decision.
It's a business decision.
Okay, it's TikTok on Jimmy Kimmel's show because they're not going to pile up the losses. They're just
right.
not.
But again, it just doesn't compare to a person being assassinated on a college campus.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Anyway. We got a great guest today.
Oh, I was glad to meet him in the hallway. It was fantastic.
You know each other?
Yeah, we do a little bit.
All right. So
for about 38 years,
so Dan Sturm, the long sitting supervisor at the Town of Bethel, is here. He's also president of the Association of Supervisors. Dan, welcome to Ion Sullivan.
Thank you for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
So how long have you been supervisor now in the fine town of Bethel?
So this year I'm finishing my 18th year.
18th year.
Yes.
And you and I both agree that Bethel is the best town in Sullivan
Without
County.
question.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I must agree with that.
It's not even close.
Well, it is in the middle of the county.
So now here is a Republican and Democrat agreeing.
Arm in arm.
Arm in arm, agreeing that Bethel is the best town in the county.
Well,
by a mile.
Well, that's why I've got my son living out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're doing very well.
He's moving on up.
Yeah. See?
All right, so Dan, you are running for supervisor at Town of Bethel again. And we've here on Ion Sullivan, we've spoken a lot about how important continuity is and continuity in leadership. And you do have a town that has balanced development, and it is balanced. You've got, of course, Bethel Woods out there. You've got a major attraction that's out there, and you've brought them and continued to balance the quality of life there. You've got Chapin Estates. You've got several summer communities. So what are the major issues that are confronting the town of Bethel now? Or where does your next 2 years go with the town of Bethel?
So there's a lot of talk, concern right now about overdevelopment in the town of Bethel. And I've been, like you said, I've been around for quite some time. And we've did a lot of things to put in place where we don't, in my view, there's a lot of the development pressure that we kind of, we did laws years ago. We did zoning laws that were, a lot of people don't know, but I would say 75, 80% of the town is protected now with good zoning.
Correct.
In especially the larger lot, the ag districts, forest conservation districts. We created those districts. So they're 3 acre zoning, they're 5 acre zoning. So we did that years ago, and we improved the planning board and the zoning board and the attorneys and the engineers. So
Well, you haven't completely improved the attorneys, but we can talk about that some other time.
Right. So, we have a lot of things that we've been able to do over the years. We made a lot of adjustments over the years. So I don't think we're having quite the development pressure that, say, Fallsburg or Liberty or Village of Monticello is facing right now. Not to say that we don't have our challenges, but I think we did a lot of things to try to protect the town, and it's showing right now.
Well, I think that given the planning board full autonomy, which I thought was essential, when other people, some members of the town, and you have every right to show up to a meeting and speak 3 minutes, and even if you have 10 people saying the exact same thing over and over and over again, doesn't change the fact that the planning board has full autonomy, right? So they get to interpret the rules and the laws, and I think that they've done a great job with that.
I do, and I think, like you said, you give them the tools that they need. You give them
correct.
good zoning, you give them good attorneys, engineers, environmental engineers, whatever they need, landscape design experts, and then let them do their thing. And that's what we've been managing to do.
And Dan Gettle's done a fine job.
Fine job.
Running that.
Yes.
And the ZBA board, I think, has been fair in their decisions as well.
I think one of the signs of the zoning that we did is you don't have that many zoning board.
No, almost none.
If you have, say, 4 or 5 a year, that's a lot.
Correct.
So Dan, take us back a little bit to before you put that zoning situation in place. One of the truly remarkable things about the town of Bethel is if you ride down 17B and you come into the gateway of the town, you've got some summer communities. You've got the grocery store that's been renovated there on what's affectionately called the corner.
Correct.
If you turn right there, you've got lake communities. You've got major commercial farms. You've got an airport. You've got Bethel Woods further down 17B. You've got rural areas. You've got more densely populated areas. You've got Smallwood, which is a community all of itself.
All by itself.
With the whole issue of short-term rentals. I'm told there are 2 or 3 short-term rentals in Smallwood.
At least.
When you look back, or when you looked forward several years ago at the challenges, because to an outsider, that layout could be daunting. And when you looked at it as an outsider, what were some of the guiding principles that you used as a supervisor in formulating your plan for your overall plan for the town of Bethel?
So I guess if you go back when I first started, I think the concern is that Bethel is a beautiful place.
Yep.
And that how long as I'm going to be there, how long the town board's going to be there, we got to do what we can to try to protect the important parts of town, the resources, the water, all those kind of things. And we put that as a guide. Mm-hmm. So we did do a lot of restrictions, keeping in mind that we still want businesses, we still want development, and we still want jobs. So that was a really tough thing to do. But I think that, like I said, I think when in doubt, we've always tried to lean on the side of the environment and doing what you can to protect it, if that's the question.
Yeah, and you had some fixed points. I mean, obviously White Lake is where it is. Right. And around White Lake, people want to develop around a lake. That's very valuable real estate. People want to develop. And my boat lives on White Lake, and it's beautiful as you drive around there. The development is not overly dense. It's a nice balance that's been struck.
Correct.
And that's literally stuck right in the gateway to your town.
So I remember when they did the comprehensive plan last time. My father-in-law was on the town board at the time, and again, Bethel is a very active town. People enjoy coming up and spending their 3 minutes, telling you what's on their mind.
Well, and the voter turnout in Bethel is always amongst the higher percentages in the county.
Correct. They show up. They show out in the town of Bethel. And I remember, the setbacks, which I thought was an essential part of that comprehensive plan, and people didn't understand the setbacks. But it's really kept our town, quite rural, when you have 55 and 17B. It could have easily been overdeveloped very quickly, and people don't understand that. And you also have to understand that they were dealt a set of cards that was already there, right? I mean, like you can sit there and talk about Lapidus till the cows come home, but that's there and it's not going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, and we have to remember how Lapidus got there. Lapidus was a normal, everyday bungalow colony.
Right.
It was a cottages, and the guy wanted to make it into condos, basically townhouses, and the plan board told him no, and then he sold it to Lapidus's, and that's how you got Lapidus's. So you have to understand that people, have the right to sell their property to whoever they want, also.
Correct.
And it may be very negative. So you have to weigh it out. And I think that Dan has done an excellent job as a supervisor. The development issue. I mean, now it's getting hot and heavy. But, I find it funny that people sit there and they talk about development. And, some of the people talking about development, have built, apartment buildings and 5 houses in the last 2 years and then say, oh, we don't want overdevelopment. And you're like, well, so it seems like the moratorium is going to be on the agenda sooner or later, correct?
It's going to be on October 22nd.
Okay.
We set a public hearing. And just to go back a little bit, there was a proposal, a local group handed in a moratorium law to us, to the town board.
Okay.
They wanted us to introduce it and set a public hearing.
Okay.
One member of the board said it was okay to go like that. I was adamantly opposed to that draft of the moratorium for a lot of different reasons. Like I said, we have good planning board, we have good zoning. I think they're more than able to handle it.
Well, generally speaking, now I read that draft. It's for their needs, right? Where you as a supervisor have to weigh out the whole town's needs and their concerns, and also there's laws that you have to play by.
And there's a lot of things about moratoriums in general that are not good for the
So
town.
why don't we back up,
Sure.
just for the benefit of our audience that doesn't have the benefit of living in the town of Bethel.
And please don't move to the town of Bethel, even though it's great.
Everybody's welcome. Come on down.
He's trying to get elected. I'm not.
Wait, we're talking about a moratorium,
The less people, the better.
but we gotta get that bridge built outside your house.
If we get that bridge built by my house, it'll be all right.
So obviously, a moratorium is a draconian remedy to people wanting to slow or literally stop development in a town. How did that come to be in Bethel? What was the group? What are their concerns? And then we can talk about the pros and cons of a moratorium. Because let's face it, a moratorium is a vote of no confidence to your planning board. That's what it is.
To be fair, the moratorium that was drafted, it doesn't, so people know, it was only for large type developments, larger than 4 lots, multifamily, multi-use, big developments. It's not single family, 2-family, commercial, hotel. Everything is fine. It's not included in the moratorium. So that's not. It's just the large lots that a lot of people got upset about. Larger lot developments, especially near each other, near Swan Lake, near the town of Liberty. That's what they were concerned about, all in one specific area, the cumulative impact of all of the projects that were coming. So what I did was, working with our attorney and the board, is we took the moratorium that they had, and I had some concerns about it, and I told them what they were. And we drafted a new one, which I feel is a...
What were the concerns?
The concerns were that, for example, there's a project at the planning board that's undergoing an environmental impact statement.
Okay.
So in my mind, there's no better review that you could have than an environmental impact statement.
Correct.
Right.
And I felt if that we were to subject them to the same moratorium, there could be legal issues, challenges for the town. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I just knew that might not be ideal.
But I know who Steve Bischoff is, so...
Right, so it wasn't going to be ideal. So those are the kind of things
I know who he
said,
is.
You know what? If we could, those are my concerns, immediate concerns. So we drafted it where the project like that gets to stay at the planning board and pursue their review, a fair review. And then anything else new, bigger projects would be subject to the moratorium. So I tried to reach a happy medium or a consensus that we could all live with.
But now, how many projects are in front of the planning board right now as we speak today?
Actually, we would say there would be 5 pending projects.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We defined what a pending project is to be safe. There's like 5 pending, not all large.
Yeah, okay.
Large ones.
So the point being is that, it's not like people are lined up out the door to build in Bethel. I mean, the project that one certain group keeps pointing towards was approved almost 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it was approved 20 years ago. No one said a word about it. I mean, the thing sailed through. No one said boo. And now they're like, whoa, wait a second. But,
I think Forestburg experienced something similar to that.
And we're very cognizant of that.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
To be fair. But
Steve Beshoff is familiar with that also.
Yeah.
A little
we're very
bit.
cognizant of that.
Yeah. So and so when you have a moratorium and you write it to go after one particular group, you're going to get sued.
You're going to get sued.
Make
There's
no bones
question
about it, right? And and you can ask, Dan's counterpart in Forestburg, you stop everything in your town when you're getting sued. I mean, everything slows to nothing, right? You still have a town to run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have, in the town of Bethel, I mean, we have, one of the best summer camps, county-wide. People come from all over the county to bring their kid, to
the town camp.
Yeah, the town camp. I mean,
people looking for addresses all the time to get them into the Bethel camp.
Correct. I mean,
it's a great camp.
I mean, Kathy McFadden and my wife, when it originally started, really defined that camp, and it's a fantastic camp. I mean, there's people. Going out to eat with my wife is the biggest pain in the neck because people always when I was chairman of the legislature, no one ever walked up to me.
Unless they're going to Wurtsboro Diner.
Yeah, and
less of a pain in the neck.
And no one said a word to me. They would come up and talk to my wife about, Johnny, Johnny's graduating college, and this because they had such a great experience at the camp. And and that's a credit to Dan also because he let that develop into what it is today,
which is an important component in a town.
Oh, I agree.
Is that town
high priority for
child care is what is key.
Correct. I mean, under Dan's leadership, they built a dog park.
Mm-hmm.
And then they one up that, and then they put bathrooms down there.
For the dogs?
No. For the people.
Oh, for the people.
Walking the dogs.
The people being walked by the dogs.
Well, actually, you don't walk them. You just kind of let them loose and run
loose.
around like crazy. It's kind of entertaining to watch sometimes.
So just go back to it as far as the moratorium goes. And then on the other hand, there could be a potential for a rash of projects coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in the pipeline, there's probably quite a few that are going to be put on hold. So we got to consider that too.
But now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a comprehensive, plan being developed right now as we speak in the town of Bethel. Right?
So that's another reason that some would say is a valid reason to do a moratorium is that we are doing a comprehensive plan. We have a great planner. We have a great comprehensive plan committee, good people working on it. So to give them the opportunity to have some breathing room.
And that's one of the few justifications is when you're taking a real critical look at the comprehensive plan. You don't want to create a plan and then realize you got 3 projects in the pipeline that are inconsistent with the plan.
Correct.
So that's usually a good reason, and that's usually a short-term 4 to 6 month hold, and people by and large can deal with that if you're aware of it in advance, and it doesn't target one particular group.
So the moratorium is October 27th, the public hearing for the moratorium, which I think is good. I had a hand in drafting it. My concerns were mentioned, but the most important part is to listen to the public, listen to both sides, and then we can make a good determination. But I think that looks pretty good compared to what we had, which I was very concerned about. I think it's markedly better and reasonable.
So now, if this moratorium goes through, when would this start?
So what we did was, because we didn't want a rush of development after we introduced the law on September 10th, so we actually had the date of September 10th. That was a town board meeting when we introduced it. And anything big, large, pending projects that were not pending will be subject to the moratorium. So they already know.
Okay.
If you come in October 1st with a large project, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
You're going to have to wait a little bit.
Right.
Right. So, and then how long do you think the moratorium will last?
It's up to a year. They had 6 months in there, but I was part of the comprehensive plan in 2006. A lot of things, it just takes a while to do it right. It takes a while. So 6 months, you're going to be arguing in 3 months over, are we going to extend a moratorium?
Absolutely. And then people get more irritated when you talk about extending it.
So we did a year with a possibility of more, subject to the town board approval.
So then the comprehensive plan comes in, right? So there's a committee working on it now. And I get reports out of it all the time, and they seem to be moving along, pretty good. And it's good because you have a good, mix of people on there. So there's one person on there that has developed in the town of Bethel, and so obviously that person has concerns because they're looking to develop a little bit more. Other people, no one like my wife who does not want another car to go down Ballard Road, by the way.
Especially if you pave Ballard Road.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. I mean, if you could stop everyone at the bridge by my house, she would be like the happiest person in the world. She just wants to garden. That's all she wants to do, right? So, so when you're doing that, then it goes to the town board, right? And now keep in mind, it's just recommendations.
That's right.
And then it gets voted on by the town board. So that could easily take, because, as you're going through it, and if you do it properly, and I'm sure you're going to do it properly, and the town board's going to do it properly, you're going to vote on certain aspects of it, right? You're going to debate certain aspects of it before. You're not just going to take the thing and say, okay, I don't like A, I don't like C, and toss them out and add D and E, and then we're going to vote on it. That's not how you guys do your work. The one good thing about Town of Bethel is that you are shockingly ready to sit there for hours and listen to the debate.
Yes.
I mean, you sit there for hours. I mean. At the county, we used to sit there for hours and listen to the debate.
Highland sits there for minutes.
Minutes.
Seconds sometimes.
I mean, Highland is 2 people speak.
Correct.
2 people speak.
And they cut them off.
I try to look at it as it's public comment.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
Got to have it. And I don't look at it as a bad thing. I think you learn a lot. Take my notes. Now we Zoom the meetings, as you know. So I could go back and look at the tapes and review what people are saying, which is very helpful. So I look at it like that. It's a chance for me to hear. Sometimes it could go on for a few hours.
Yeah.
Last night, for example, public comment, there was hardly any. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't
But
know.
I mean, 2 months ago, I think it was, you had a meeting in the gymnasium.
Right.
I mean, that went on till...
That's when they were talking about the moratorium. We knew the moratorium discussion of their draft was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
had a public comment period.
That went to 11 o'clock at night.
It was at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that is democracy. We elect our officials, and we know that sometimes, like everything else, public comment just becomes political theater. Right. But people do have a right to be heard, and their representatives need to sit there and listen to what people have to say. And sometimes it can be laborious because you're listening to the same people say the same things week after week.
Well, I will tell you, in the town of Bethel, and I've been to a lot of town board meetings in other towns. I represented, 3 other townships. I went to a lot of their town board meetings and listened to people speak. We had an issue with a storage facility on the corner of 17B and Pine Grove Road. And I spoke to several planning board members after that, and they all said the same thing to me. I mean, they really know, these people did their research. They really understood the topic, and that it seems that thing got voted. It hasn't been voted on, but they've withdrawn their proposal at this time. And, the planning board was like, these guys really did their homework.
Well, it's great when people have legitimate concerns and those get presented, because as diverse as a planning board or a town board is, it's never going to be completely reflective of everybody's views. And look, some views are just unreasonable. We don't want any development here whatsoever. By the way, could the county give us more money, because we're not having any development, but we need money. and so the zero development isn't the answer. But people have concerns, legitimate concerns. I had an opportunity to go to one of the village planning board meetings here because they wanted to approve in a single-family dwelling. They wanted to make it a two-family dwelling, and I saw that as the first thread being pulled toward more dense population. And in the village, we don't need more dense population. It was good. So, and I wound up not speaking. We wound up being able to hear what other people had to say. And that's important. And if you want to run for public office, you need to listen to the public when they have something constructive to say.
Oh, well, unfortunately, sometimes you have to listen to them when they don't have anything constructive to say. But you learn.
We did.
But you learn a lot from that also.
You do.
I mean, I have to tell you. I mean, some people get up, and like you said, it is political theater, and you get 10 people saying the same thing, for 3 minutes over and over and over again. But you also learn. That they're going somewhere with this. I mean, it's not a mistake the way it's being done.
Oh, you would see the people that were so choreographed, their speech lasted exactly 3 minutes.
That happened all the time.
All the time.
I mean, all the time.
All the time.
I was like, oh yeah, this is going to full 3. I used to turn to Josh all the time like, this is going full 3. So now the town of Bethel, as far as fiscally going, we're in great shape, right?
We're in really good shape. Bond rating, AAA bond rating, best bond rating you could have. Healthy fund balances.
Okay, so now that's one of the things I hear around town, that the fund balances are too high. We have so much money in the bank. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? So why do we have such healthy fund balances?
First, just so you know, as you know, it's not easy to have healthy fund balances in this environment. So I'm not going to apologize for it. However,
it's important, but not easy.
Right. So we've had these 2 large projects planned in the town of Bethel. The highway garage. It's a $10 million project.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's mimicked after the Liberty Highway barn. Same size, same amount of bays, except ours is a lot more energy efficient because Liberty did theirs 20 or so.
And it's going to be named the Dick Crumley Highway Garage.
No, we haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, so just wait till you walk down the road one day there, buddy. And then so you mean that our highway garage that is on a postage stamp and the guys came and park on our property and you have casement windows with cinder block, that's no longer useful to us?
It's not. They need a new highway barn probably 30, 40 years.
You've got a residential community literally right up against the barn.
Yeah. Who, by the way, lets us use their parking lot.
It's nice of them.
I mean, yeah.
And again, it's bad for the employees.
It's bad.
No, the new building looks beautiful going up.
Yeah, to go to the fund balance. So every year we knew we had to do a highway barn. We started planning it in 2008. The economy went totally terrible. The banks crashed. We said, you know what? This is not a good time to do a long-term high loan amount. So we put a little money away every year. We paid off our current debt that we have. We have no debt in the town of Bethel other than sewer, which is a different
animal. Yeah.
So we have no debt.
See, most people don't understand in municipalities there's buckets of money, right? And most people don't understand the bucket concept. They're like, well, we have money over there. We can use it for that. No, you can't use it for that.
No. So that's what we do. We put a little money away every year.
Well,
we got
maybe
low interest
can
loans.
you give Johnny Pizzolo a call and tell him that you're not allowed to do it that way?
You can't mix and match. No. So that's what we did. So
you can't?
What?
But that's why we have larger than most fund balances, because the minute we secure this loan, we got a low interest USDA loan, 3.5% for 30 years. We got some grant money from NYSERDA. Anything we could do to get grant money.
NYSERDA is a great organization. The chairman went to them for the college project.
Correct.
So anything
they
we
did
do,
a great job.
That's why we're carrying the fund balance. You got a $10 million project. We got loans for USDA for 7.5. So we are going to have to bond $3 million. So I could take some of that money fund balance that we have earmarked for a highway barn. And also same with the town hall project. At some point, we're going to pursue the town hall project.
So you can get yourself a nice big cushy office. Is that the
couch?
deal?
Yes.
That's a couch.
So just so we know, that building's 60 years old,
at least,
right?
And it's tight. I mean,
it's tight.
It's tight in there.
Everyone knows what's going on in there. Okay.
The assessor's office is like you can hardly move in there.
And there's no air conditioning in the building. I mean, I want you to understand that.
My office, I got the window unit.
Got the window.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, the building's outdated. It's not energy efficient. No. And as Bethel EMS grows, I mean, that's going to become a concern very shortly. I mean, very shortly. And so when you're looking at a new town hall, where would that go? In the same footprint?
The plan was on the same footprint. Knock the building down that's there, save the foundation, and then rebuild and expand.
Foundation savers. Well, we have a bunch of them in our town.
So that was the plan. Energy efficient, most energy efficient. It was actually built to passive house standards is the plan. One of the first municipal town halls.
So you have plans already for that?
We have plans for that, but we put it on hold for a little bit because the highway part is being built.
Right.
To me, these are two large municipal undertakings, once in a lifetime undertakings that we have to try to fit into a tight budget. So that's why.
I mean, you're talking about spending $15 million.
Hopefully, the 10 for the highway barn
Yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe a couple for the town hall.
All right, so let's say $13 million, right?
yeah.
I mean, to have energy efficient, environmentally sound, buildings that will last a lifetime.
And we're not going to burden for the next 30 years, no matter what we bond, because we have healthy fund balances earmarked. That's
So
the
you'll
key.
be able to accomplish these projects without a huge spike in property taxes.
Well, because I did make a commitment at one point that we're not going to raise taxes over the 2% cap for these two projects.
You didn't say read my lips, I hope.
No, I might have said it a couple times.
Okay.
But again, we're going to do that. We're going to be
Right.
able to do that. Not going over the tax cap for these two projects.
And that's important.
'Cause
That's-
let me tell you
that
something.
takes planning. You get people that come into office and they want to do all this stuff, and then we wind up with a 12-15% tax increase, and that's crippling on the backs of particularly most of the households in this county.
Correct. I mean, a lot of people in this county are on fixed incomes.
Sure.
And, when they don't want to hear about, first of all, they have to pay schools tax and they have no one in school, right?
Right.
And they already
Right.
paid, they already did their thing, right?
And they don't understand why we need a highway barn.
They don't,
we'll
and
just
they don't
park the
care.
trucks anywhere.
They don't care
You
because
get the court parking lot, just park the trucks there.
because if they're taking in $6,000-7,000 a month, right?
Right.
They don't want to hear the taxes went up,
Right.
for a new town hall that
Right.
they've been to, that you go to once a year to pay your taxes, right? I
Right.
mean, twice a year to go. I don't do that. I go to Nancy Buck herself because I'm always late because I hate paying taxes. I hate it.
But the fact that even if you talk about the highway barn, if you park the trucks inside, which we can't do now,
Right.
huge savings.
Oh, my
on
God.
depreciation, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Of what it's going to save over the years.
Correct.
So
Well, we know
an
what
investment.
salt does to our cars on the roads. What about salt sitting all over these trucks outside? It just rots them.
Well, I mean, people don't understand how bad that town barn is. First of all, it's freezing. And when you go in there winter time, it is literally free. The men cannot change. It's so cold in there.
25 years ago, that barn was obsolete.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's
We're excited to see the new barn going up every day. On my way here this morning, I
Yep.
saw it.
Yep.
It's moving right along.
Yep,
so-
I pass by it frequently, and it's great. And it's one of the few town barns that you can fly into.
yeah, it's right there. At the airport.
And you know what I think is great? Now they'll have restrooms in there for the guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
That means there's going to be water and sewer very, very close to the airport.
There will be water and sewer very close.
Very close to the airport.
That was a conversation that I had with Mr. Sturm at one point.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
No, it's great, and it's a good location. There'll be plenty of room for the employees to park there, and
Better to get back to the District 1 area. You could cut
Sure.
right over. You're not being
Yeah,
in
correct.
the residential zone.
yeah, no,
Correct.
it's great. And then what's going to be the fate of the old town barn? Is that going to become a school?
No.
No, as at the moment, we'd have to follow the rules, which say we have, if we want to either use it
Right.
or sell it as
Right.
surplus.
Right.
So if we decide to sell it, we would have to have public hearings,
Right.
permissive referendums, and that kind of thing. Any kind of public.
I would think there'd be a market for that property at least.
Well, it's not as big as you think it is.
No,
by the
it's
way.
pretty.
I mean,
That's why I say the only ones that would really
Not
want
even-
it.
Not even
yeah.
6
It's
acres. It's
You got
tiny.
that neighbors, the community right next to it. My guess is they would probably be interested in
They've
buying.
made offers over the years.
Right.
Over
No,
the years.
no,
Even
keep-
in 08, they made
right.
offers.
Now, keep in mind, if you're looking at the barn on the left-hand side, that road, is their property.
Right.
And where the men park their trucks is their property.
Right.
So they've been a great neighbor, right? So if it was to be, and I'm not going to have Dan speak on this, but if it was up to me, I would offer it to them first.
Of course.
I mean, because they've been a great neighbor to
Sure.
us. Because they could say, no, you're not parking on my property. Have a nice day.
Well, and they would be the logical people that would want to expand their
They've
footprint.
expressed an interest over
Sure,
the years,
sure.
of course.
Well, they need a parking lot too.
Now, the county's transportation garage, wasn't that originally built by the town of Bethel?
No, that was they got federal and state grants years ago to build the one on Airport Road.
Right.
And then they closed it up for a while.
Right.
I think, I'm not speaking for the county, but I think they were in danger of losing that funding if they didn't use that building.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what I recall. I remembered that it was closed for a while,
Right.
and
We looked at it.
somehow I had thought that was the town of Bethel that built it and closed it.
At
but
one
it
point,
was-
I thought that's where it was going to be.
Right.
And then
that would have been a good spot also.
oh yeah, it's an ideal spot for us.
We looked at that building before it came back to the county
Right.
as possible for the highway barn, but it just wasn't big enough that wasn't high enough. You couldn't get the trucks in there either.
You don't want to
So-
get a building
No.
that's obsolete.
Correct.
You don't want to build a hangar that your planes don't fit in.
Right.
That's correct.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
So now, one of the things that you've done over the last 18 years is expand the parks in the town of Bethel, right? And like when I go for my daily walk, I see benches, I see signs that say, like when we were kids, we used to hang out down the ball field and light fires and drink beer and all that fun stuff.
Read books mostly. I remember reading books.
Right,
down there.
reading books.
That's what I did. I don't know about you. But. So yes, we did.
Yeah.
Over the years, we used a variety of funding methods to improve our parks and playgrounds. We won the Golden Feather in 2018. That was $100,000.
Wow.
We used that to put in outdoor exercise equipment and improve. We put a pickleball court at the pool and park. We expanded the current playground up at the pool and park. This year, we finished an addition to the pool and park, to the playground, and another addition. And as you know, down in the Forest Reserve, just so I could tell you, Saturday we're having a ribbon cutting for a new addition to the playground that
Oh, nice.
on top of the one that we added last year. We're doing it Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, so 11 o'clock. I think it's 11 o'clock. We'll invite everybody to come down.
Yeah, because Town of Bethel is an odd town that we don't have a central square, right? I mean, there's not like so. The Town of Bethel, is kind of broken up. There's like three main parts of the town. There's Smallwood, there's Congonga Lake, White Lake, and then there's the ag section, right? And that's basically the town. So it's kind of odd that we don't have a square, but that's just the way it developed over time.
Yeah, and the interesting about the play equipment is that it's inclusive. In other words, people for all abilities. So that's something that we thought was important to introduce to that location. So we did that. Variety of funding methods, grants, state grants. The dog park is there. But we think that it's most important to be able to get, especially during COVID, to get people outside, to hang out with their families.
Sure.
Right? And this is a beautiful outdoor setting, right? There's not a better setting in the county than down at that Forest Reserve.
Oh, I agree.
With the streams and the river. We have 100 acres of walking and hiking paths. We improved the walking path. We have benches, gazebos. But I think there's no more better thing that we could do, a better investment that we could have in the kids. And that's why we spend that much time. Some people say, oh, you care about playgrounds and sand piles, right? People send me a letter, what are you doing? But I think at the end of the day, there's no better investment. If you could do it strategically and financially within your budget, there's no better better investment.
Because the property, now how long, that has to be 15 years ago that you made that the old golf course.
We purchased it from the county in 2011. We bought that property.
2011.
There were a lot of help. A lot of community members helped with the acquisition. It was slated, as you remember, for 200 homes.
Remember
that property?
Yeah.
And when you talk about busy town board meetings and crowded,
remember them? Remember them?
I do.
Yeah.
I know the
Like it
people
was
in
yesterday.
Smallwood were not happy about that.
No.
Well, I know the guy that lived across the street from it wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
And I believe he remarked, "This is my sandbox, and I'm going to play by my rules."
Exactly. That's pretty much what he said.
and as you can see, it's still his sandbox because it became a town park.
But we used that time back then with all of the commotion and uncertainty that was there. We used it to do the comp plan. We used it to do the zoning amendments, made them a little more strict, a lot more tight. So that was one of the examples. But that was a good example where we were able to buy the property from the county. One section of it now makes sand for the highway department,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
is a big savings for the highway department. And then we use the rest for parks, playground, dog park. Like I said, we want to get kids outside.
Yeah, moving
But
around.
that's part of striking a balance in creating a community. When people are looking at moving their family into a community, the amount of parkland is important. The environment, environmental tourism is very, very important. And the town of Bethel has done such an exemplary job of balancing all of these competing interests. And you don't really see that kind of balance in many towns, particularly in this county. And you see towns that now, particularly along the river corridor, with the growth of the short-term rentals, and then the people short-term rentals and second homeowners, and a lot of the towns along the river corridor are now confronting that very issue. How's the town of Bethel dealt with the whole short-term rental situation? Because we know that Smallwood, if there's a more picturesque area for the perfect short-term rental, it's Smallwood.
Correct.
So we had a law about a year and a half
I just want to
ago.
point out that Danny and I do not live in Smallwood, okay?
We
Monga
Monga Valley.
We live in Mungo Valley.
It's those people on the other side of the tracks,
Right up the hill.
On the side of the bridge.
other side of the bridge.
No, I'm
sorry, you're on the other side of the bridge.
That's-
We had a lot of interest in short-term rental legislation, somehow to monitor the short-term rentals, make sure that they're safe and following the rules. We introduced a law that we wrote. Took us over a year to write it. We used Onondaga as a guide. It was what's called the golden law for short-term rentals. The gold standard, they called it. And we introduced that in our
It's Onondaga County.
we used theirs as a
Syracuse area.
guide.
Yeah. Okay.
And we introduced it. We had a public hearing, and there was a lot. The realtors weren't happy with it. A lot of people that own them weren't that happy with it. But more importantly, we did not define an amount of short-term rentals. For example, Smallwood. We didn't say you could have only 20 or 30.
Right.
Same thing, White Lake Homes. We didn't go that far with this legislation. Our goal was to make them safer and more accountable.
Correct.
In case there's an issue.
Right.
We thought we had a great law, but after the public hearing, we ended up tabling it for more discussion because we were not prepared at that time to go as far as this is how many you could have. Because I think, property owners have a right,
Correct. It's property rights.
to
Correct.
either make money with their property or rent their property out. But it gets to the point if there's too many, then at least you'll have legislation to make sure they have smoke detectors, parking, all those kind of
Correct.
things.
So
We
it's
thought it was a good
Maximum
law.
occupancy.
Right.
Just septic tanks are maintained.
That's right.
See. Now, I think the short-term rental issue is great for the county. Okay.
But you had a plan.
Correct. Well, I did have a plan that I presented to the Board of Supervisors. Obviously, no one took me up on it, but I wanted to, as in the county, we were going to hire people to inspect them, right?
Right.
And then
Because safety was your primary
My-
concern.
my
We're just
primary
waiting
concern.
for the tragedy that happens.
Correct. So now, over the last 3 years, building materials have become the number one source of sales tax income to the county.
Right.
Okay. And I think the short-term rentals has a huge part to play in that because I think people keep their homes that they use as short-term rentals in better shape than you would keep your own home.
Well, you'd hope, yeah.
Yeah, because it's become a business to you, okay? And you want to make sure that you stand out amongst, your competitors, and you want people, and you don't want to get sued when someone goes to your house, right?
Right.
So maybe, the sink that doesn't work in your normal house, you make sure that works
Sure.
because people won't come back and give you a bad review and all that nonsense. So I think it's improved the quality of the buildings in not just in Bethel but all over the county. I think people spent more money to keep their properties upkept better. And my main concern, obviously, I speak about it night and day to Danny, and he's like, please don't bring up septics to Rob because he's going to go on for an hour about them. But Smallwood has septic tanks. We don't have.
Well, the concept of Smallwood was, 8 weeks, a family of 6
Correct.
going there for the summer.
Correct.
The 4 boys weren't using the septic; they were using the woods.
Correct. And so then what happened was in the 80s, when there was a downturn in the late 70s, a lot of people moved up here.
Sure.
And then took their summer cabin and made them, all year round homes, and they weren't designed for that. And then it became a problem. But I think that, some of them are on 2 lots. I mean,
Right.
they're on 100, they're on 50 by 100, pieces of property. And, Mountain Lakes is a huge part of that section of town. And you have to keep the integrity of that lake up.
And you got to protect that lake.
You have to protect that lake. And, I'm on the lake committee for the Smallwood Civic Association. And, there's constant talk about the municipal treatment plan, and it's a constant battle, and I'm like, you're not going to win that fight, right?
You do have meetings on the one night you're not allowed to fish.
Yeah, no. According to my lease, I'm not allowed to. Yeah, oddly enough, it is on Tuesday.
There you go.
Oddly enough,
that's
it
the
is
day
on
you
Tuesday.
can't fish.
My deed. I can motorboat on
Mountain Lake.
Mountain Lakes,
Absolutely.
and I'm not allowed to fish on Tuesdays.
Right.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Mountain Lake, again, there's a big concern.
Sure.
So we did a lot of things over the years. We did good zoning years ago to
Yep.
try to protect Mountain Lake. We did 1 acre zoning, reinforced that
Yeah.
standard.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, over the last year, we did the critical environmental area designation from DEC, one of the first in Sullivan County. We included Smallwood Lake, and it's around Smallwood Lake, White Lake, Kanianga, and we went farther north towards Swan Lake.
Okay.
And it was justified by the information that we had, how important it is to save those water bodies and prevent them from overdevelopment.
Correct.
Sure.
So we did that, and I think that's going to be a big thing. And the only thing that's affected, it doesn't affect single family, 2 family, only those ones that have to go to the planning board for a seeker.
Right.
That's the only thing that gets affected by the CEA.
Right.
But it just shows, I think the verbiage even, how important, like you mentioned White Lake before. If you lose the lakes, you end up with nothing in the town of Bethel.
Nothing.
So that's why we felt it was important to do that. We had public hearings, and we enacted that for the first time. So
But Danny, that requires vision, because it's too late when the lakes go bad. Trying to clean them up is near impossible
It's a
because
nightmare.
they're fed from miles and miles away, and I know that Goodyear Lake up near Oneonta had a problem a couple years ago. We had the algae problem at Lake Superior State Park. And I remember the chairman said, well, hold on a minute. We're starting to see different issues cropping into our lakes. And the chairman put aside money to make sure that the towns would have a fund where they could go to protect those waterways. Because they're important to property values, but they're important to quality of life.
Correct.
And it's that vision in advance. You weren't waiting in Bethel to say, oh, by the way, Mountain Lakes, you can't swim in it anymore. You said, we've got to look at this in terms of our comprehensive plan, which is a real credit to you and the vision that you displayed in managing the town.
And we do have, just on that note, additional legislation that we are considering as part of the Comprehensive Plan Committee that would address septic systems near water bodies. Some towns,
Sure.
they have certain legislation that says, hey, if you're in 300 feet within a water body, you have to have your septic pumped. You have to have it tested, at least tested. And we are looking at legislation like that
Correct.
as another step.
So in Smallwood, I own several homes in Smallwood. That sit empty because I don't like neighbors. but I also, I improved the septic because I'm right next to a stream. So I improved the septic system on there if I ever sold them. And in 2 of those homes, it was an oil tank was a septic.
Sure.
And I
Well, that's the way it was.
That's the way it was. And so then when you look around, Mountain Lake, Smallwood Lake, you're like, how many more are like that around here, right?
Many.
And then many. And so I know when Jonathan Hyman changed his out, he spent a lot of money to make sure that it was up to date and done properly, and you had the leach fields done and everything was done properly. Is everyone else going to do that, right? That's the question. But with this legislation, you fix a lot of those problems.
Well, it's not easy in Smallwood because the lots are small.
Right.
And when you start looking at setbacks and setbacks between well and septic, there are modern septic systems that can accommodate that. But that's got to be the direction that we go, or we're going to see problems that are not going to be easily reversed.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people in Smallwood, I bet you don't even know where their septic system is.
No doubt.
I mean,
until
I don't know.
Have a problem with it.
Yeah, they have no clue. I mean,
Right.
they're like, I don't know. And until the toilet doesn't flush, they're like, I have no idea. I mean, I'm not picking on the fine folks that put. I see people put stuff on this Smallwood Facebook pages. I mean, don't laugh. They ask, like the most mundane questions, like, oh, my hinge or my screen door broke. Can anyone fix it? You're like, you have a screwdriver?
Yeah, screwdriver.
This came up the other day. Some people moving from the city, they buy a house in Smallwood.
Right.
Love it, right? They
Of
come
course.
in, and they don't know anything about it. Nobody tells them anything about it. And one brought an example the other day where they put their garbage out by the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're waiting for somebody to pick it up. and like, we don't have,
Waiting for the Messiah to come with.
Yeah.
They're in the city, right? The road,
Right, sure.
The city comes and takes your garbage. These people
Yeah.
sit in the garbage, bears get in.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
meanwhile,
wondering, who takes my garbage?
I mean, meanwhile, you're chasing your garbage can down the road because the bear took it, 100 feet on the
Right,
other
But people
side.
just don't know.
Yeah, and
Well, they don't know where the social center of the town is, which is at the landfill.
Yeah, and you're
Or
like,
the transfer
Right,
station.
that's the place to
correct.
be, right.
That's the place to be. Yeah,
Right.
And they, and it's just silly things like that you don't understand because it's such a foreign concept. I mean, I remember, during COVID, a lot of people came up here and they, you taking advantage of the fact that they owned a house upstate New York. And, a lot of it was, I hear all this gunfire. What's this gunfire? I'm like, it's hunting season. Like, what? What?
What are they hunting?
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you, without hunting season, all the body shops here would be doing a lot better off without hunting season. Trust me, I tell you.
So, Danny, you're running for this may be a 1-year term.
Correct.
We got some proposed legislation changing in New York. So why don't you tell us about you're running unopposed this year, so the people of Bethel will continue to be well served. But what are we looking at in terms of legislation coming down the line that may have you running again and again?
So
Next year.
I just want to make a comment about the legislation.
Sure.
And I don't feel that strongly about it other than it's probably the worst legislation in the history of the state of New York.
Wow.
Have the worst legislation that I've seen in the state of New York to run for a 1-year term, or what they're doing is they're removing the importance of local town elections every 2 years.
Right. So once you again back up for our audience's benefit, because I can guarantee that this is the kind of legislation that people will look back on 5-6 years from now and say, geez, how did that happen that all of our elected officials now have to run on a presidential year? We know why that is.
Right.
Once you give us a little bit of background on the legislation, and I'm glad to hear you say that it's the worst piece of legislation because it's devastating legislation potentially to the upstate counties, and it's why New York City is the tail that wags the dog.
I mean, we are a town of 3,500 people.
Right.
Right. To change our elections, to suit the needs of people who have 3,500 people in one block in the city is crazy to me.
For 4 years, I had the good fortune of representing the Board of Elections. Mm-hmm. And it was a year-round process. People think, Board of Elections, so you're probably busy on one Tuesday in November.
No.
I mean, between moving the primary dates and moving the petition dates, and now this legislation, it's like year-round. You've got some part of a election going on, and it's tougher to find candidates because you can't. And running every year is a full-time job.
Yeah, and again, I think the legislation is so bad, and it's not just for me personally because I run every 2 years.
Right.
The board gets 4-year terms.
Which also is not good.
But you know what? To me, I'm used to it.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. It gives me an opportunity to tell people what we're doing.
Right.
So it's not really for me personally as far as that legislation goes.
Because
But people are hiring you to do a job, not to campaign for the job. And when you got to run every 2 years, you're diverting attention away from managing a town for one of those 2 years into interviewing for the job again. And there's no balance there.
It's very difficult, and I know I've been around a long time, to run for your job every year, year and a half.
Yeah.
It's part of the job.
Right.
But I do get a lot more done
Yep.
when I'm focusing on the job at
Of
hand.
course.
So it's just, and the fact that the judges, going forward, town judges are still going to be on that off-year cycle.
Right.
Which means you still have to have elections.
Right.
So it just waters down the elections for town members, I think.
Right.
I agree.
It's just, I think they could have done better things. I'm hoping that it gets overturned. It's still in the courts right now, Court of Appeals.
Correct.
But again, it's just not an ideal way to, the town elections are important every 2 years. They should stay that way.
The problem is that at the end of the day, you're the CEO of the town of Bethel. I mean, that
Correct.
is your job, right? And people are making it political, flat out political. I mean, I understand that you're in a political party, and I understand all that, but at the end of the day, you have a town to run, and to run it well, and you run the town of Bethel very well. If you have turnover year after year after year, I mean, that's not good for your town either.
No, I guess if my plan would be, I'm going to do the best I can
Right.
for as long as I can, when I still got a lot of things to do. And that's what we're going to try to focus on.
I understand your wife wants you there for as long as as long as you're willing to get out of bed. She wants you there.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, we know
yeah.
the public soundbite is to streamline elections and make them more efficient.
They're not.
But they're not doing that. The reason is they want all the legislative bodies to be elected on years where there's more likely to be a larger Democrat turnout. That's what it's all about.
Well, so in the town of Bethel on national elections,
Right.
We generally go to the right. Okay?
Right.
Local elections, we tend to lean middle left.
But look at the assembly races.
Yeah, correct.
You're not getting an assembly person who is right of center elected in this district on a presidential year. It's just not happening.
No. I mean, and it's funny that you said that because when I spoke to Lou about that, I said this is the wrong year to run.
Right.
Prime example: the city of Middletown puts up 11,000 votes on a presidential year.
Right.
Non-presidential year, they put up about 4,000 votes.
Right.
And Republicans lose that town by 70-30. But by the way, when they did the redistricting, I don't know what the city of Middletown has to do with Sullivan County whatsoever. The fact that you represent both of us is kind of crazy to me. We don't have a city in the county of Sullivan.
Right. Well, what it has in common is there is a more right-leaning populace in Sullivan that has to be balanced out against a more left-leaning. And Danny Sturm is one of the few examples of vote for the best person.
Correct.
Because it doesn't matter what his party is, he's focused on what's best for the town of Bethel, and he's demonstrated that over years with a comprehensive plan that takes into account the diverse needs of the farm community, of the summer community, of the short-term rental community, of the what I'll call the Chapin community, of the visitors who come to enjoy Bethel Woods, for the employees of Bethel Woods, who obviously I'm concerned about. That balance, doesn't matter what political party he's part of, but we are seeing the extremes in both sides that are not healthy when it comes down to these towns. So Dan, looking forward, we know we're going to have at least another year under your leadership. What's on the agenda for the next year and beyond? We're going to finish the town barn project. water and sewer development in Bethel is good? Because I know that's a challenge to many of the towns.
Yeah, for example, we have the Smallwood Water Company, seasonal Smallwood Water Company, which we're in the process of purchasing. The fellow that's been
selling
running
water
that.
companies.
Yeah, oh yeah. Public Service Commission, we've been waiting 13 months for them to say, okay, you could buy it.
Right.
We have a contract, we got a map plan and report ready to go. So that's very important.
Which is odd because they generally only want it to go to the municipality.
Right. We sold the one in Rock Hill.
Yeah, yes. In Rock Hill, we wanted to sell it to someone else, and they were like, nope, you can only sell it to the municipality. We were like, well, that's not what your rules say. Well, we're telling you what we're going to approve. And so that's a big deal for people in Smoot. So just so you know, a lot of homes in Smoot are seasonal, and basically you have water from mid-April to Columbus Day.
October, yeah, about at least 400 homes, depending on what numbers you go by. So we think it's important to get it in the town's hands. The gentleman that's running it so well over the years is ready to retire. Like 2 years ago, he's ready to retire.
That's my wife's godfather.
Right.
He is her spiritual guidance.
Right.
His retirement has spawned lots of sales of private water companies.
Right. So we want to get it in our hands, make sure it's run well,
right,
and work with him. But that's important for especially people in the small community that
Correct.
use that asset. So we're looking for that. The comprehensive plan, big project, as you know, because we've done it once before, so I've experience doing it, doing the zoning that goes with whatever zoning we decide.
Yeah, because again, once you get the plan, I mean, you still have another 6 to 8 months of going, and you're a very thorough person, line by line, saying, okay, this works for us, this doesn't work. So it's basically a recommendation, and then you define what the document says.
The last
you
time
and the town board.
we had the comprehensive plan, I remember well, we had the zoning amendments that came after that. And I was, like you said, I do my homework. We had over 150 comments for the zoning. I was one of them. I had it in my little briefcase, and I would sit at home and go through every single comment.
Yep.
So that gave me a chance to meet people
Sure.
and hear what their concerns are. And that was one of the best projects. It was an open public process with public hearings. So I look forward to that again, where you really hear what Bethel wants.
Yep.
And I think we could do it again, is what we're trying to aim for this time.
Terrific.
Which is a big deal. And so financially we're in good shape. I mean, environmentally we're in good shape. I mean, I think the growth is on a fair to medium,
Sure.
I mean, you think about it today, if you try to put another Chapin Estates in today, it probably wouldn't get in.
I don't think it would with the environment today, but we do have single-family homes, two-family homes, people moving to Smallwood, people moving to the ag districts. We do have growth every year. Assessments are going up. So, no, I would say we're going to be in good shape financially in spite of the two big projects. Our green initiatives, we're ongoing green initiatives. We're doing whatever we can. The solar field that we did, the LED streetlights, those are things that we feel are going to save money for the long term. Be better for the environment.
The Heather Brown, she's everywhere.
Yeah, she is.
She touches everything.
So we're doing that. We're going to keep doing that, keep taxes as low as we can.
Yep.
And try to focus on the kids and their families.
I
think that's...
You're striking a balance, and that's the key, and you're doing it the right way. It really stands as an example to many towns that are looking at comprehensive plans and looking at development. They would do well to look to what the town of Bethel has done to maintain that balance with very unique and different areas. I mean, even Chapin, there was clearly a significant influx of revenue to the town, and you've used that to benefit the town. And people
Correct.
don't realize that the revenue generated from Chapin Estates, because they don't put a big drain on the town infrastructure.
On services, correct.
That money has been able to be used to build the fund balances, to maintain taxes for everybody. And
Correct.
that's part of running a town and seeing the advantages and the benefits that come from different types of development in different areas.
I'd like to think we're a little step up on other municipalities. Nothing against them. I work well with all the municipalities, with the Supervisor Association. But I'd like to think that we have, we're forward thinking and we have a way to accomplish what we need to do.
mean, my wife likes the town so much, her family stayed here for 200 years.
Well,
It is unique. I'm actually honored and blessed to have the opportunity. All these years, in spite of all the things we've been through, I have fun. I have fun going to work and do the best we can to listen to people, answer the phone calls every week that you get. That's important.
Right.
And by the way, his door is open, so you could literally park your car and walk into his office.
It's
because I do it a lot.
It's terrific, and we wish you all the best as you continue to navigate the challenges that come with running any municipality. Bethel is in excellent hands, and under Danny's stewardship will continue to be in excellent hands financially, civically, beautiful natural resources, waterways, hiking trails. You've struck a balance with the summer communities, with the farming communities. It's all there. It's all there in a great town, and it's probably why your colleagues have kept you as president of the Supervisors Association, because you have been able to navigate that, and not every town has been as successful in navigating the various pressures. So we wish you all of the best as you continue, and if you've got to run another year, we're sure that you will be successful, because the people of Bethel certainly recognize that they have a real asset in Danny, in the work that he's done and the commitment that he's had to the town. Rob, last words. It's your town.
No, it's my town. Danny and I are road mates. We live about a half a mile from each other. I go by his house several times a day. The good news is his car is not usually there during the daytime, so I'm very happy about that, to know that my supervisor is hard working. He does walk by my house every day also, which gets the dogs a little riled up, but, that's another story for another day.
Dogs and your wife.
Yeah.
Doesn't want anybody walking past the house.
She doesn't want a fly to go past our house, never mind someone walking. I mean, and the thought of driving a car by my house is just another story.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, folks, we want to remind you, if you have a comment about today's show or about guests that you want to see, different views, we don't suppress speech in Eye on Sullivan. We encourage all comers to come and sit in that seat. And our next episode, we'll continue with our election workups, and we will have the candidate for supervisor in the town of Highland. Mel Carney will be here in the next episode, or one of the future episodes.
Correct.
Of Eye on Sullivan. We encourage you to leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the content. I am being now stopped, fortunately not on the road. I'm being stopped in ShopRite, in Home Depot.
I got stopped yesterday in the post office.
Yeah, people saying, geez, we love Eye on Sullivan. We love the content.
Oh, and just so you know, Johnny Pizzolatto, you're more than invited to come on the show, and we'd be more than happy to have a civil, conversation with you about how you're running the town of Highland.
We have a chair that's now been warmed up by a competent supervisor, so it's all ready for you. It's all ready for you. So drop us a line, share the link, the whole link, so we get the word out. If you have ideas for future guests for Eye on Sullivan, let us know. We will be happy to bring them on. We'll have all comers. Or you can drop us an email at eyeonsullivan@gmail.com. That's EYE on Sullivan@gmail.com. And if you're watching us on Facebook right now, help us out. We want to get the subscriptions up to 1,000. Be sure to
smash
that like button and subscribe. And if you think this is a platform that is beneficial to the county, we want to be sure, or the area, because we've got people that are down in Florida and they want to keep track of what's happening in the county, and they're listening to Eye on Sullivan. And we will do that as we look forward to some of the contested races. We will have both sides on. We'll listen to both sides. So be sure to subscribe. We get the subscribers up to 1,000. We will be able to live stream Eye on Sullivan. So on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, we want to thank Dan Sturm for the excellent work that you have done for the people, not only of the town of Bethel, but of the county, because of the leadership that you show. And we wish you all the luck going forward. Dan, last word?
I want to thank you for this opportunity. I don't always have that opportunity to discuss Bethel and what's happening, so I really want to thank you both for having me here this morning.
Well, it has been our pleasure, and we remind everybody again to subscribe. So on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, we thank again Dan Sturm. I am Mike McGuire, inviting you to join us next week for another episode of Eye on Sullivan. Have a great week, folks.